Harrison Ford is an American actor, aviator, and environmental activist. He gained worldwide fame for his starring role as Han Solo in the Star Wars trilogy, reprising the role in the sequel trilogy. Ford is also widely known for his portrayal of Indiana Jones in the Indiana Jones franchise and as Tom Clancy's Jack Ryan in the spy thrillers Patriot Games and Clear and Present Danger.
Film critic Roger Ebert described Ford as the great modern movie everyman. His career spans 6 decades and includes roles in many highly successful Hollywood films. Some of his most popular films include Apocalypse Now, Witness, Presumed Innocent, The Fugitive, Air Force One, What Lies Beneath, and 42. 7 of his films have been inducted into the National Film Registry: American Graffiti, The Conversation, Star Wars, Apocalypse Now, The Empire Strikes Back, Raiders of the Lost Ark, and Blade Runner.
As of 2019, the U.S. domestic box office grosses of Ford's films total over $5.1 billion, with worldwide grosses surpassing $9.3 billion, making him the 4th highest grossing domestic box office star of all time.
Ford was born at the Swedish Covenant Hospital in Chicago, Illinois, to Christopher Ford, an advertising executive and former actor, and Dorothy, a former radio actress. His younger brother, Terrence, was born in 1945. His father was Catholic and his mother was Jewish. Ford's paternal grandparents, John Fitzgerald Ford and Florence Veronica Niehaus, were of Irish and German descent, respectively. Ford's maternal grandparents, Harry Neidelman and Anna Lifshutz, were Jewish immigrants from Minsk, Belarus. When asked in which religion he and his brother were raised, Ford jokingly responded, "Democrat, to be liberals of every stripe." In a television interview shown in August 2000, when asked about what influence his Irish Catholic and Russian Jewish ancestry may have had on his life as a person and as an artist, Ford humorously stated, "As a man I've always felt Irish. As an actor I've always felt Jewish."
Ford was active in the Boy Scouts of America, and achieved its 2nd highest rank, Life Scout. He worked at Napa Adventure Base Scout Camp as a counselor for the Reptile Study Merit Badge. Because of this, he and director Steven Spielberg later decided to depict the young Indiana Jones as a Life Scout in the 1989 film Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade.
In 1960, Ford graduated from Maine East High School in Park Ridge, Illinois. His was the first student voice broadcast on his high school's new radio station, WMTH, and he was its first sportscaster during his senior year. He attended Ripon College in Wisconsin, where he was a philosophy major and a member of the Sigma Nu fraternity. He took a drama class in the final quarter of his senior year to get over his shyness. Ford, a self-described late bloomer, became fascinated with acting.
In 1964, after a season of summer stock with the Belfry Players in Wisconsin, Ford traveled to Los Angeles to apply for a job in radio voiceovers. He did not get it, but stayed in California and eventually signed a $150 per week contract with Columbia Pictures' new talent program, playing bit roles in films. His first known role was an uncredited one as a bellhop in Dead Heat on a Merry-Go-Round. There is little record of his non-speaking roles in film. Ford was at the bottom of the hiring list, having offended producer Jerry Tokovsky after he played a bellboy in the feature. He was told by Tokovsky that when actor Tony Curtis delivered a bag of groceries, he did it like a movie star. Ford felt his job was to act like a bellboy.
His speaking roles continued next with Love, though he was still uncredited. He was finally credited as Harrison J. Ford in the 1967 Western film A Time for Killing, starring Glenn Ford, George Hamilton, and Inger Stevens, but the J did not stand for anything, since he has no middle name. It was added to avoid confusion with a silent film actor named Harrison Ford, who appeared in more than 80 films between 1915 and 1932 and died in 1957. Ford later said that he was unaware of the existence of the earlier actor until he came upon a star with his own name on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. Ford soon dropped the J and worked for Universal Studios, playing minor roles in many television series throughout the late 1960s and early 1970s, including Gunsmoke, Ironside, The Virginian, The FBI, Love, American Style, and Kung Fu. He appeared in The Western Journey to Shiloh and had an uncredited, non-speaking role in Michelangelo Antonioni's 1970 film Zabriskie Point as an arrested student protester. French filmmaker Jacques Demy chose Ford for the lead role of his first American film, Model Shop, but the head of Columbia Pictures thought Ford had no future in the film business and told Demy to hire a more experienced actor. The part eventually went to Gary Lockwood. Ford later commented that the experience had been nevertheless a positive one because Demy was the first to show such faith in him.
Not happy with the roles being offered to him, Ford became a self-taught professional carpenter to support his then wife and 2 young sons. Casting director and fledgling producer Fred Roos championed the young Ford and secured him an audition with George Lucas for the role of Bob Felfa, which Ford went on to play in American Graffiti. Ford's relationship with Lucas would profoundly affect his career later on. After director Francis Ford Coppola's film The Godfather was a success, he hired Ford to expand his office and gave him small roles in his next 2 films, The Conversation and Apocalypse Now. In the latter film, Ford played an army officer named G. Lucas.
Ford's previous work in American Graffiti eventually landed him his first starring film role when he was hired by Lucas to read lines for actors auditioning for roles in Lucas' upcoming film Star Wars. Lucas was eventually won over by Ford's performance during these line reads and cast him as Han Solo. Star Wars became one of the most successful movies of all time and established Ford as an international superstar. He returned to star in the similarly successful Star Wars sequels, The Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi, as well as the Star Wars Holiday Special. Ford wanted Lucas to kill off Han Solo at the end of Return of the Jedi, saying, "That would have given the whole film a bottom," but Lucas refused.
Ford later reprised the role of Han Solo in the sequels Star Wars, The Force Awakens and Star Wars, The Rise of Skywalker. During filming on June 11, 2014, Ford suffered what was said to be a fractured ankle when a hydraulic door fell on him. He was airlifted to John Radcliffe Hospital in Oxford, England for treatment. Ford's son Ben released details on his father's injury, saying that his ankle would likely need a plate and screws, and that filming could be altered slightly with the crew needing to shoot Ford from the waist up for a short time until he recovered. Ford made his return to filming in mid-August, after a 2-month layoff as he recovered from his injury.
Ford's character was killed off in The Force Awakens, but it was subsequently announced, via a casting call, that Ford would return in some capacity as Solo in Episode 8. In February 2016, when the cast for Episode 8 was confirmed, it was indicated that Ford would not reprise his role in the film after all. When Ford was asked if his character could come back in some form, he replied, "Anything is possible in space." The character eventually reappeared as a vision in Episode 9. Solo, a Star Wars story, a spin-off movie focusing on the life of a young Han Solo, was released in May 2018, but Ford was not involved in the production beyond meeting with actor Alden Ehrenreich.
Ford's status as a leading actor was solidified when he starred as globe-trotting archaeologist Indiana Jones in the film Raiders of the Lost Ark, a collaboration between George Lucas and Steven Spielberg. Though Spielberg was interested in casting Ford from the beginning, Lucas was not, due to having already worked with the actor in American Graffiti and Star Wars. Lucas eventually relented after Tom Selleck was unable to accept.
Ford went on to star in the prequel Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom and the sequel Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. During the June 1983 filming of Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom in London, Ford herniated a disc in his back. The 40-year-old actor was forced to fly back to Los Angeles for an operation and returned 6 weeks later.
Ford reprised the role yet again for a 1993 episode of the television series The Young Indiana Jones Chronicles, and later for the 4th film of the franchise, Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. Walt Disney Studios announced in March 2016 that Ford was scheduled to portray Indiana Jones in a 5th film due for release in July 2019, The film was later pushed back to July 10, 2020.
Ford has appeared in many other films, including Heroes, Force 10, From Navarone, and Hanover Street. Ford also co-starred alongside Gene Wilder in the buddy western The Frisco Kid, playing a bank robber with a heart of gold. He then starred as Rick Deckard in Ridley Scott's cult sci-fi classic Blade Runner, and in a number of dramatic films with thriller elements, Peter Weir's Witness and The Mosquito Coast, and Roman Polanski's Frantic.
The 1990s brought Ford the role of Jack Ryan in Tom Clancy's Patriot games and Clear and Present Danger, as well as leading roles in Alan Pakula's Presumed Innocent and The Devil's Own, Andrew Davis' The Fugitive, Sidney Pollack's remake of Sabrina, and Wolfgang Petersen's Air Force One. Ford also played straight dramatic roles, including an adulterous husband in both Presumed Innocent and What Lies Beneath, and a recovering amnesiac in Mike Nichols Regarding Henry.
Some of Ford's major film roles came to him by default through unusual circumstances. He won the role of Han Solo while reading lines for other actors, was cast as Indiana Jones because Tom Selleck was not available, and allegedly took over the role of Jack Ryan due to Alec Baldwin's fee demands. Baldwin had previously played the role of Ryan in the 1990 film The Hunt for Red October.
This was the most lucrative period of Ford's career. Between 1977 and 2000, he appeared in 15 films that reached the top 15 in the yearly domestic box office rankings, 12 of which were in the top 10. 6 of the films he appeared in during this time were also nominated for the Academy Award for Best Picture amongst numerous other awards: Star Wars, Apocalypse Now, Raiders of the Lost Ark, Witness, Working Girl, and The Fugitive.
Starting in the late 1990s, Ford appeared in several critically derided and or commercially disappointing movies, including 6 Days, 7 Nights, Random Hearts, Kane on Teen, The Widowmaker, Hollywood Homicide, Firewall, and Extraordinary Measures. One exception was 2000's What Lies Beneath, which grossed over $155 million in the United States and $291 million worldwide. In the 2001 Guinness Book of World Records, Ford was listed as the richest male actor in the world.
In 2004, Ford declined a chance to star in the thriller Syriana, later commenting that "I didn't feel strongly enough about the truth of the material and I think I made a mistake." The role eventually went to George Clooney, who won an Oscar and a Golden Globe for his work. Prior to that, Ford had passed on a role in another Stephen Gagg handwritten film, that of Robert Wakefield in Traffic, which eventually went to Michael Douglas.
In 2008, Ford enjoyed success with the release of Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, another Lucas/Spielberg collaboration. The film received generally positive reviews and was the second highest-grossing film worldwide in 2008. Ford later said he would like to star in another sequel, if it didn't take another 20 years to digest.
Other 2008 work included Crossing Over, directed by Wayne Kramer. In the film, Ford plays an ICE/Homeland Security Investigations special agent, working alongside Ashley Judd and Ray Liotta. He also narrated a feature documentary film about the Dalai Lama entitled Dalai Lama Renaissance. Ford filmed the medical drama Extraordinary Measures in 2009 in Portland, Oregon. Released January 22, 2010, the film also starred Brendan Fraser and Alan Ruck. Also in 2010, he co-starred in the film Morning Glory, along with Patrick Wilson, Rachel McAdams, and Diane Keaton.
In July 2011, Ford starred alongside Daniel Craig and Olivia Wilde in the science fiction western film Cowboys and Aliens. To promote the film, Ford appeared at the San Diego Comic-Con International and, apparently surprised by the warm welcome, told the audience, "I just wanted to make a living as an actor. I didn't know about this." Also in 2011, Ford starred in Japanese commercials advertising the video game Uncharted 3, Drake's Deception for the PlayStation 3.
2013 began a trend that saw Ford accepting more diverse supporting roles. That year, Ford co-starred in the corporate espionage thriller Paranoia, with Liam Hemsworth and Gary Oldman, and directed by Robert Lukitic. as well as Ender's Game, 42 and Anchorman 2, The Legend Continues. His performance as Branch Rickey in 42 was praised by many critics and garnered Ford a nomination as Best Supporting Actor for the Satellite Awards. In 2014, he appeared in The Expendables 3 and the documentary Flying the Feathered Edge, The Bob Hoover Project. The next year, Ford co-starred with Blake Lively in the romantic drama The Age of Adeline to positive notices.
On February 26, 2015, Alcon Entertainment announced Ford would reprise his role as Rick Deckard in Blade Runner 2049. The film, and Ford's performance, was very well received by critics upon its release in October 2017. Scott Collar of IGN called it a deep, rich, smart film that's visually awesome and full of great sci-fi concepts, and Ford's role a quiet, sort of gut-wrenching interpretation to Deckard and what he must have gone through in the past 3 decades. Despite the acclaim, the film only grossed $259.3 million worldwide, far short of the estimated $400 million that the film needed in order to break even. In 2019, Ford had his first voice role in an animated film, as a dog named Rooster in The Secret Life of Pets 2. That same year, with filming for a 5th Indiana Jones film having been delayed by a year, he also agreed to headline a big-budget adaptation of Jack London's The Call of the Wild, playing Prospector John Thornton.
Ford has been married 3 times and has 5 children. He was first married to Mary Marquardt from 1964 until their divorce in 1979. They had 2 sons, chef-restaurateur Benjamin Ford and clothier Willard Ford. Benjamin Ford co-owns Ford's Filling Station, a gastropub with 2 locations, at the Marriott, LA. Live, downtown Los Angeles, and in LAX Terminal 5. Willard is the owner of Strong Sports Gym, and was co-owner of the Kim Sing Theater and owner of the Ludwig Clothing Company.
Ford's second wife was screenwriter Melissa Matheson. They married in March 1983 and separated in late 2000, subsequently divorcing. They had 2 children, actor/musician Malcolm Ford and actress Georgia Ford. Ford began dating actress Callista Flockhart after they met at the 2002 Golden Globe Awards, and together they are parents to her adopted son, Liam. Ford proposed to Flockhart over Valentine's Day weekend in 2009. They married on June 15, 2010, in Santa Fe, New Mexico, where Ford was filming Cowboys and Aliens. Ford lives with Flockhart and Liam in Jackson Hole, Wyoming. He retains a base in Los Angeles, California.
In her 2016 autobiography The Princess Diarist, Carrie Fisher claimed that she and Ford had a 3-month affair in 1976 during the filming of Star Wars.
Ford is known as one of Hollywood's most private actors, guarding much of his personal life.
Ford is a licensed pilot of both fixed-wing aircraft and helicopters, and owns an 800-acre ranch in Jackson, Wyoming, approximately half of which he has donated as a nature reserve. On several occasions, Ford has personally provided emergency helicopter services at the request of local authorities, in one instance rescuing a hiker overcome by dehydration.
Ford began flight training in the 1960s at Wild Rose Idlewild Airport in Wild Rose, Wisconsin, flying in a Piper PA 22 Tri-Pacer, but at $15 an hour, he could not afford to continue the training. In the mid-1990s, he bought a used Gulfstream II and asked one of his pilots, Terry Bender, to give him flying lessons. They started flying a Cessna 182 out of Jackson, Wyoming, later switching to Teterboro, New Jersey, flying a Cessna 206, the aircraft in which he made his first solo flight.
Ford keeps his aircraft at Santa Monica Airport, though the Bell 407 is often kept and flown in Jackson, and has been used by the actor in 2 mountain rescues during his assigned duty time with Teton County Search and Rescue. On one of the rescues, Ford recovered a hiker who had become lost and disoriented. She boarded Ford's helicopter and promptly vomited into one of the rescuer's caps, unaware of who the pilot was until much later. "I can't believe I barfed in Harrison Ford's helicopter," she said later.
Ford flies his de Havilland Canada DHC-2 Beaver more than any of his other aircraft, and has repeatedly said that he likes this aircraft and the sound of its Pratt & Whitney R985 radial engine. According to Ford, it had been flown in the CIA's Air America operations, and was riddled with bullet holes that had to be patched up.
In March 2004, Ford officially became chairman of the Young Eagles program of the Experimental Aircraft Association. Ford was asked to take the position by Greg Anderson, senior vice president of the EAA at the time, to replace General Chuck Yeager, who was vacating the post that he had held for many years. Ford at first was hesitant, but later accepted the offer and has made appearances with the Young Eagles at the EAA Air Venture Oshkosh gathering at Oshkosh, Wisconsin, for 2 years. In July 2005, at the gathering in Oshkosh, Ford agreed to accept the position for another 2 years. He has flown over 280 children as part of the Young Eagles program, usually in his DHC-2 Beaver, which can seat the actor and 5 children. Ford stepped down as program chairman in 2009 and was replaced by Captain Chesley Sullenberger and First Officer Jeff Skiles. He is involved with the EAA chapter in Driggs, Idaho, just over the Teton Range from Jackson, Wyoming. On July 28, 2016, Ford flew the 2 millionth Young Eagle at the EAA Air Venture Convention.
As of 2009, Ford appears in internet advertisements for General Aviation Serves America, a campaign by the advocacy group Aircraft Owners and Pilots Association. He has also appeared in several independent aviation documentaries, including Wings Over the Rockies, Flying the Feathered Edge, The Bob Hoover Project and Living in the Age of Airplanes.
Thank you for watching. Please subscribe.